Hey YouTube, I've got a short one for you today. We're going to be continuing on the drum synthesis train and showing you how I synthesize my claps. I have myself an instance of Serum 2 loaded up already. To make a clap, we're just going to start off with noise. One of the defining characteristics of synthetic claps is when you have these multiple transients at the beginning of your shape to emulate multiple people clapping, it creates a larger, fuller clap sound. And then we have a tail as well. If I just put that on the volume, we need to now adjust the rate of this. If I set it to envelope mode and then switch off BPM, I just have a hertz value now. If it's too slow, you end up with this staggered feel, but if it's too fast, then you don't hear the individual transients at all. So you want to try and find an in-between point. Also, it can help if you don't have all of these transients be exactly the same, and it helps to just give it a little bit more dynamics. Already that feels a lot more natural. Yeah, that's getting there. At this point, what you can do to change the tone is change the pitch of the noise. Let's get this running through a high pass filter as well to just cut off all of the unnecessary low end. Bit of drive never hurt anyone. And like I mentioned in my last video, which was about making hi-hats, you can also create different kinds of noises through extreme FM. And for this example, I'm going to do a similar sort of thing to get a bit more of an interesting noise texture. So getting these two oscillators, switching them both to a sine wave, I can hold Alt, click on the oscillator and drag it over to copy it. And now I'm going to select FM from B. I'm going to turn that all the way up. I'm not going to play this because it would be super aggressive, but I think I'll put this an octave down, then put it through the filter. Just remember to turn the level of oscillator B down so we don't hear that. It's just going to be used as an FM modulator. I'm going to just have the volume up for this. I'm going to go resample to OSC A, and then we have this more chaotic wave going on, and it's already sounding a lot more noisy. I can repeat this process as many times as I like in order to create different varieties on this noise texture. So if we go menu, resample to OSC A, sounds about right. One more time, just because. And then if I put that on the volume envelope, I have, once again, a nice noise clap. From here, it's all about honing in on the actual tone that you want to get out of this, because at the moment it's just very plain noise. But to make this a lot more interesting, EQ and distortion is your best friend. So 1100 is a very clap sounding frequency. You can also add on a little bit of an attack to that. And the shape of this dynamic EQing is what's determining the overall tone of this clap. And just dial that amount back. Maybe get a little bit of a boost going on the highs as well. Everything above 3.5K can get a little bit of a boost. So without it, not very exciting at all. But with it, we got a lot more impact and a lot more character out of it. And this is going to be emphasized when we distort it as well. So let's try some tube. Or soft clipping maybe. Pretty nice. Try some tape saturation. Also quite satisfying. Can maybe dial back the mix. And then get a chorus, which will widen the sound and give it some more character as well. Bring the depth down. Set up some nice delay times. And with just a little bit of mix. And if we put that before the distortion, then it will fuse with the sound a lot better. So I might go ahead and add a compressor now, tighten up the dynamics a little bit. That's about right. What we can also do is maybe add a phaser, bring the depths and rates down. So with just a little bit of this mixed in parallel, just playing with the frequency is getting me a whole bunch of additional tones for this. Just play around with it, dial it in till your heart's content. That sounds pretty good to me. From here, it's just a matter of going as far as is necessary to achieve the power of clap that you need. So for example, for a harder track, you might need to make a much denser clap, which has a lot more distortion on it, in which case you just keep adding different distortion effects over time and using different types of distortion to induce different flavors. As you're layering these different distortions together, it's really useful to play with EQs before it to change what's being fed into that distortion. That way you can accentuate or reduce certain frequencies going in and change the overall timbre of the sound even more. Right, let's cut some frequencies. For the top band, I'm just going to get a shelf and I might bring the gain down this time, change the Q to make it a bit softer and just bring the frequency down to like 2K or something like that. That way you can make a lot darker of a clap. So yeah, it's all about playing with the build-up of these different effects over time. And then what you can do is, again, come back to the rate or the shape of the actual clap. You can see how there's a sweet spot where it starts to just lock in. What I might do is get a bit of a master tune automation as well, just for a little bit of extra snap at the beginning. LFOs, LFO 3, low ball, main tuning, and set this to 12 semitones or something like that. Right, let's hear the difference without. With. It helps it just feel a little bit rounder in my opinion. Okay, and now we're going to go and do some post-processing to this clap, perhaps a little bit more EQing. And then a bit of a high pass over here. If you cut too much out of your clap, then you're going to lose a lot of body. But also too much of the low frequencies will have mud in them as well. So sometimes it's nice to go in and tweak those as well. And then once again, I'll add a bit more distortion for some more harmonics and thickness. Transient shaper. Shape the dynamics of it a little bit more, and a little bit of reverb would be nice as well. So if I go with Valhalla Room, get a nice low mix, bring the low cut up. I don't need it to be too bright either. Make it much shorter. Bring the pre-delay in. Not bad. And yeah, you only need a tiny bit of mix with this. In fact, I think I'll automate it. So if I just create an automation clip, clean for the transient, and then come up for the tail. And again, you just don't need very much in order to make it feel a lot more wholesome and satisfying. From here, just get on a clipper and shave off those transients and make sure that it's nice and loud. So now I'll export that. And there you have it, a clap. And once it's in audio form, you can do a few more things to it to customize it even further. So if I just turn this down a bit, what we've got is general pitch shifting. Do it even more extreme. Which is one way to do it. But the other way that I really enjoy is using a frequency shifter, because it works really well for these kind of atonal things like claps or other percussions. Get different variations for these claps by getting different noise types, using different frequency ranges, or just changing the overall shape. The shape itself is very important. If I go back to the patch here, so just by changing the shape of this envelope, you get a very different feeling clap. You'll just have to play around with it, and a good thing to do is create a few of them, and then you can listen to them all back to back, and one of them will undoubtedly be more satisfying than the others. So you can just either keep that one or keep all of them, because more material is more material. So that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you learned something about making your own claps. In next week's video, I'm going to be talking about making snare drums. If you want to support the channel, then you know what to do. And with all that being said, I'll catch you in the next one.